Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini Maksane, Assistant Professor in Department of Biochemistry, St. GS Medical College and KM Hospital, Mumbai. Today we are going to discuss fat-soluble vitamin K. As per competency-based medical education, specific learning objectives for today's session are that the learner should be able to explain vitamin K with respect to dietary sources, recommended dietary allowance, biochemical functions, deficiency manifestations, and toxicity. Vitamin K chemistry. Chemically, vitamin K is 2-methyl-1,4-naphthoquinone ring. It have a polyisoprenoid side chain at carbon number 3. Based upon the differences in the side chain at carbon number 3, there are three compounds which have vitamin K activity. First is phylloquinone, and second is minaquinone, and third is minadiol. Phylloquinone is obtained from plant sources. Minaquinone is synthesized by intestinal bacteria, or it is present in some animal diet in small amount. Minadiol is a synthetic compound. Phylloquinone and minaquinone have differences in side chain at carbon number 3, while minadiol have no side chain. Phylloquinone is called vitamin K1. It is present in plant sources, and it is the major form which have highest vitamin K activity. Minaquinone, it is present in some of the animal sources in small amount. It is mainly formed by intestinal bacteria in our intestine, and it is also a natural source of vitamin K. It is called K2. While menadione, it is a synthetic form. It is not present in natural food sources, and it is called K3. In our body, menadione can be metabolized into minaquinone or in phylloquinone. The biological activity of vitamin K to minaquinone is uh, questionable because though it is synthesized by our intestinal bacteria in large amount, but how much it is absorbed and how much biological activity it have in our body, that is questionable, because whenever a phylloquinone deficient diet is given to a person, the symptoms of vitamin K deficiency are observed, even though the minaquinone is synthesized by bacteria, intestinal bacteria in those persons. So the major form of vitamin K is phylloquinone. Now, major plant sources of vitamin K which have phylloquinone are green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale, spring onions, broccoli, cabbage, and plant oils. While animal sources which have small amount of vitamin K2 are egg yolk, liver, cheese, and other milk products. And vitamin K2 is mainly synthesized by intestinal bacteria. Now, absorption, transport, and metabolism of vitamin K. Vitamin K, like other fat-soluble vitamins, is absorbed along with fat in our small intestine. Intestinal mucosa cell absorb vitamin K1 and K2. Then they are bound with chylomicron, and then they are released into lymphatic system. These chylomicron then transport vitamin K1 and K2 into the liver. Vitamin K, which is a synthetic form of vitamin K, is more rapidly absorbed and completely absorbed in our intestine, and then it is transported into the liver, where it can be converted into vitamin K1 and K2. For absorption of vitamin K, it requires bile salts for the absorption of fat and vitamin, all fat soluble vitamins. After reaching to liver, vitamin K is stored in microsomes of liver cells, hepatocytes. If there is need to transport vitamin K to other tissues, then it is transported along with beta lipoproteins like VLDL and LDL. It does not have its own transport protein like vitamin A and vitamin D have. The nutritional status of vitamin K is best indicated by phyloquinone, because as I have already mentioned that though the K2 vitamin menaquinone is synthesized by intestinal bacteria in large amount, but it's how efficiently it is absorbed or how much biological activity it have, it is questionable, because in the deficiency of phyloquinone, if dietary uh, if there is dietary deficiency of phyloquinone, there will be the symptoms of vitamin K deficiency will develop, uh, even though the bacterial synthesis of K2 is in enough amount. So to know the nutritional status of vitamin K, phyloquinone is the best indicator. We should measure the activity of phyloquinone in our blood to know the nutritional status of vitamin K. Only trace amount of vitamin K1 and K2 metabolites are excreted in urine. They are utilized more. And while the considerable amount of vitamin K, which is a synthetic form, is excreted as its conjugated form beta glucuronide and in sulfate ester form in urine. Now, what are the functions of vitamin K? The major function of vitamin K is that it acts as a cofactor for enzyme carboxylases. It causes gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues of target proteins in various tissues. These proteins have glutamic acid residues in large amount, and this vitamin K increases gamma carboxylation of these glutamic acid residues of target proteins. Now, why this gamma carboxylation is required for target proteins? This gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues increases the affinity of those proteins for calcium, so that they can easily attach with calcium. They can make bridges or bonds with calcium. Now, which are those target proteins? The major target protein for vitamin K are some clotting factors. These factors are factor 2, 7, 9 and 10. These factors are required for clotting process. So this gamma carboxylation of these clotting factor uh, convert these factor from inactive form into active form. This is called a post-translational modification of clotting factor by vitamin K by doing gamma carboxylation of their glutamic acid residues. The other target proteins are osteocalcin. This protein is present in bone tissue, bone matrix. This gamma carboxylation of this protein in bone increases the affinity of osteocalcin for calcium, so that this gamma carboxylation helps in mineralization of bone. Another protein is matrix gamma carboxyglutamic acid protein. This protein is present in various target tissues like heart, kidney, lungs, vascular smooth muscle. uh, in these target tissues, this protein, matrix GLA protein, accumulate. So this have a higher affinity for calcium. So in these target tissues, by binding with calcium, uh, this protein decreases the calcification of these target tissues. Vitamin K cycle. This slide depicts how vitamin K take participation in gamma carboxylation processes. In liver, this gamma carboxylation process take place in microsomes of liver cells, while in other target tissue, this cycle also take place. So, vitamin K take participation in quinone form. First, this quinone form of vitamin K is converted into hydroquinone form by enzyme vitamin K reductase with the help of NADPH. This reduced vitamin K act as a cofactor. Then this cofactor increases the activity of enzyme carboxylase. Now this enzyme causes gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues of various proteins. So after doing this gamma carboxylation, this hydroquinone form of vitamin K is converted into epoxide form of vitamin K. Now this epoxide form of vitamin K is again converted into quinone form with the help of enzyme epoxide reductase. So this is how the vitamin K cycle take place for gamma carboxylation of glutamic acid residues of target proteins. Warfarin and dicamerol, they are the synthetic analog. They are analogs of vitamin K. While warfarin, it is a synthetic analog, while dicamerol, it is present in spoiled sweet clover. It is an anticoagulant. Both have structural similarities with vitamin K, so they competitively inhibit the vitamin K cycle. This diagram depicts that how vitamin K causes activation of clotting factor and initiate clotting. See, these are clotting factors, factor 2, 7, 9 and 10, and they are precursor form of these clotting factors. They are present in liver and these are glutamic acid residues on them. After reacting with vitamin K, these glutamic acid residues are converted into gamma carboxyglutamic acid residues. So these are gamma carboxyglutamic acid residues. Now these clotting factors are matured. After getting mature, they are released into the blood circulation. In blood circulation, they from blood circulation they goes to platelets for initiation of clotting process. So by causing gamma carboxylation, the net negative charge increases on these clotting factors. So these gamma carboxyglutamic acid residues help clotting factor to get attached to platelet membrane via calcium bridges. So the affinity of these clotting factor increases for calcium, and this helps in formation of calcium bridges between phospholipid membrane of platelet and clotting factor. This is how by increasing the attachment of clotting factor to platelet, the process of formation of clotting uh, uh, accelerate. This binding of clotting factor prothrombin and other factor to phospholipid membrane, the proteolytic activity to convert prothrombin to thrombin, then conversion of fibrinogen to fibrin get accelerated. So this is how vitamin K helps in clotting process. Vitamin K is also known as anti-hemorrhagic vitamin. Vitamin K was discovered as a result of investigation of the cause of bleeding in sweet clover disease of cattle. Those cattle fed the spoiled hay, which is called sweet clover. The sweet clover contains cow marrow. This is the structure of cow marrow. When it is spoiled, the cow marrow get converted into cow marrow. So that spoiled hay contained cow marrow, and when this hay was eaten by cattle, this caused bleeding disorder in cattle. So during identification of the cause of this bleeding in cattle, vitamin K was first discovered, and it was found out that this dicoumarol inhibited uh, inhibited the vitamin K cycle by competitively inhibit the action of vitamin K, and because of deficiency of vitamin K, there was no clotting process occurred, and this caused bleeding in cattle. The recommended dietary allowance of vitamin K in adult male is around 120 micrograms per day, while in female it is around 90 micrograms per day. Deficiency of vitamin K is mainly observed in newborn, mainly in premature infants, and this deficiency of vitamin K causes hemorrhagic disease in newborn. This is because in newborn there is less hepatic store of vitamin K, and there is limited intake of vitamin K through milk, because the vitamin K present in milk does not satisfy the total requirement of vitamin K. It have only small amount of vitamin K. And in infants there is, mainly in premature infants, there is absence of intestinal flora. They have sterile intestine, so there is no intestinal bacteria to synthesize vitamin K. Because of these reasons there is deficiency of vitamin K in newborn. So to those newborn, prophylactic doses of vitamin K, that is 1 milligram of minadione, should be administered to prevent hemorrhagic diseases. Although in adult the dietary deficiency of vitamin K is uncommon, still it can be observed in various conditions, like if there is less dietary intake of vitamin K, if there is some diseases of intestine which causes fat malabsorptions like pancreatitis, bile duct obstruction, cystic fibrosis, and if there is some liver disease. In that condition um, there will be no activation of clotting factor, there will be no microsomal cycle in liver. So in that condition there will be vitamin K deficiency manifestations. And if there is intake of some antibiotics like cephalosporin which interfere with vitamin K metabolism in liver, and if there is some intake of anticoagulants like warfarin, dicalmerol, they are synthetic analog of vitamin K, and they can interfere in vitamin K cycle and prevents conversion of or activation of clotting factors in liver. And if a person is suffering from severe diarrhea and taking antibiotics, so in that condition vitamin K deficiency can be manifested. And in if vitamin K deficiency is there, this may cause defective blood coagulation process, and which ultimately can lead to bleeding disorders. In those patients, the abnormal non-carboxylated prothrombin is observed in blood of these persons. Now, vitamin K toxicity. Intake of naturally occurring vitamin K like phylloquinone and menaquinone, they does not exert any harmful effect. But if there is prolonged intake of large doses of synthetic vitamin K, that is minadione or minadiol, that can cause hemolytic anemia, then hemolytic jaundice and kernicterus in newborn. This hemolysis occurs due to toxic effect of menadione on RBC membrane, which causes hemolytic anemia. And because of hemolytic anemia, there will be jaundice. And if there is more hemolytic anemia, that may cause kernicterus in newborn. So, excess intake of synthetic vitamin K should be avoided. Now, reference interval of vitamin K. As I have already mentioned that phylloquinone is the best indicator to show vitamin K status of a person. So we should estimate plasma level of phylloquinone. The normal range of phylloquinone in plasma is 0.13 to 1.19 nanogram per ml. Thanks for watching the video.